Welcome back to the Shift Fitness Systems YouTube channel where we help men over 30 look good, feel good, and get after it. And today we are talking about something that you either love or you hate, and that's gonna be chin-ups, all right? So if you're a guy out there who has been either stuck at 1, 2, maybe 3 chin-ups for a very long time, or you're looking to get your very first chin-up, then this video is exactly for you. I'm gonna show you the exact system I've used to get over 20 guys to get their very first chin-up, several guys to get to that 10 plus mark, and even some dudes doing chin-ups with 45, 50 pounds attached to their freaking hips. So
to have sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
Now, for me personally, I was never the kid, if you remember back the presidential fitness test, you know, the kids that are pumping out like 10, 15 chin-ups, that was not me, all right? I was struggling to get 1 or 2 back in 5th and 6th grade, so I had to work my ass off to get good at chin-ups. Now, honestly, they're one of my favorite exercises, all right? I recently set a PR, which was 5 reps with 75 pounds on my hips, and I'm doing different variations with fat grips and circular and, you know, muscle ups and stuff like that, right? So you can definitely go from not being able to do a single chin-up to a place where chin-ups are one of the things that you look most forward to in your workout. Now, before we get too deep into this, I do have to mention one caveat, which is if you're a guy who is maybe a little bit behind on your workout routine or been a little bit loose with your diet lately, and you're about 15 to 20 pounds above your ideal body weight, then getting stronger at the chin-up exercise is gonna be a little bit more difficult for you. So I've made a couple videos that are gonna help you out. So I have my 3 fat loss tips for guys that are trying to lose that little bit of fluff. I have a comeback video if you're getting back into your fitness journey, the 4 or 5 mistakes that you absolutely need to avoid. And I also just made my big 5 video, which are going to be the 5 things that you actually need to pay attention to be able to nail your fitness journey and get back into your athletic comeback and get back to humming with your body. Let's say you are closer to your ideal body weight, but you just don't have the strength yet to be getting your first chin up or to get above that 3 or 4 chin up mark. What we're gonna talk about today are the main things that you're probably doing wrong, okay? Why maybe lat pull downs and band assisted chin ups are not helping you as much as you think they are, and our exact proven process that is going to help you get to your maximum chin-up strength in about 8 to 12 weeks. Before we get into our proven framework, let's talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that I see guys making whenever they're trying to improve their chin-up performance, or they're just really stuck getting that first chin-up and they can't seem to get over the hump. Number 1 is going to be you're using lat pull downs too much, okay? So we've all seen the guy at the gym that can lat pull down the entire stack, but when he goes to do his first pull-up, he can't even get it, right? That has 1 to do with body weight, but 2 to do with the fact that lat pull downs are an open chain exercise. So what that means is that my body is staying still relatively and my hands are moving to my torso. When you do a chin up, your hands are staying still, but your body is moving towards your hands. That may not seem like a big difference, but neurologically, it has a lot of effects on what is actually recruited and used whenever it comes to firing the correct muscle patterns and correct sequencing. So whenever you're using a open chain exercise, that is going to use a lot more of an isolatory or isolated movement style. You're going to be feeling a lot more of your forearms, a lot more of your biceps, and a lot more of your lats, but as individual muscle groups. Whenever you go to do a closed chain exercise, because of the amount of stability that you have, meaning no matter how hard I pull on that pull-up bar, it's not coming down to me, I have to go up to it. That does a lot of different stuff for your brain and integrates your arms and your core together. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good lat pull down, right? Because your back ends up looking like a freaking king cobra or the sail on a pirate ship, but it is not going to create as much productivity for your chin-up strength as you may think. We use lat pull-downs extensively in our progression series that we'll talk about later, but as a primary exercise for developing chin-up strength, they do fall a little bit short of the mark. Second biggest mistake I see is people over-relying on banded chin-ups with elastic bands and not progressing to full body weight variations soon enough. You spend all day trying to get your chin-ups with the elastic band, but before you know it, you haven't actually strengthened the part of the motion that is your biggest weak link in the chin-up. So the chin-up has what we call a descending strength curve, all right? All those words mean is that the higher you go on the motion, the weaker you get. It's the exact opposite of a bench press. A bench press is hardest at the bottom, easiest at the top. A chin-up is easiest at the bottom and hardest at the top. So because the elastic band is helping you exponentially so at the bottom, it's giving you a boost when you don't really need it. So you can't get a graded and progressive overload on the aspect of the range of motion that is actually the most difficult for you and the one that you need the biggest steps to increase, right? It's like running into a wall. You're gonna get to a certain point, you're gonna run out of strength, and you're not gonna be able to step yourself through the progressive portion. You need stairs to get up to the top of the wall. And that's what our variations and our progressions are gonna talk about later. Third biggest mistake, and lastly, is going to be that you are not training your core with your arms, all right? We're doing isolated ab exercises and then isolated upper body exercises. You have got to put the pieces together, okay? There is a reason that all these calisthenics dudes and gymnasts have absolutely wicked cores with their lats and their arms, is because they have built and developed the neurological connections to be able to use the big muscles of their upper body with the muscles of their core and torso. Our core and arms are meant to work together. I mean, look at really any athletic movement, throwing a punch, throwing a ball, spiking a ball, anything like that. If you do it isolated with your shoulder, you're gonna create a lot less power and a lot more chances for injury. But if you're able to use your core, the rotation and the connection that you have from your hand all the way down to your hips, then you create a lot more power. Now, I'm not saying you don't need to do isolated arm exercises, isolated lat exercises, lat pull downs, rows, or anything like that. But if you are solely doing those things outside of the context of an integrated training program, then you're going to be shortcoming yourself by not integrating the movements that you really need to be able to progress your chin up properly. All right, cool, coach. So what do I actually do? Well, here's the exact process that I use to help a ton of guys get their first chin up. Real quick, y'all, if you're feeling bored in your workouts, tight, stiff, and just generally lacking a little bit of sauce and excitement in your training, then check out my 5-day email upgrade course that I made that are common tweaks to exercises you're probably already doing, but add in a little bit more rotation, a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more dynamic movement to help you get that athleticism and energy back into your training. The link is in my bio. Phase 1 of our chin-up progressions is going to be our eccentric phase. So eccentric contractions are a type of contraction where, simply put, the muscle is being lengthened under load. So think of any lowering in the exercise. I'm going down in a squat, I'm coming down in a bench press, I'm coming down from the top of the bar on the chin-up. This is going to be our eccentric motion inside of a particular rep. There are a ton of beneficial reasons why we use eccentrics. Tendon health, neuromuscular coordination, type 2 muscle fiber recruitment, the list goes on and on. But primarily what it's going to be is it's going to teach us to handle our body weight in the direct motion of a chin-up. So whenever you're doing lat pull downs or assisted chin-ups, your hands, your grip, your neurological system don't have to experience the full load of your body weight in the movement that you're practicing. Now, at a certain stage, that's fine. That can be beneficial. You can practice certain movements at a lower intensity. But if you're going to do a chin-up, you need to feel what your body weight is like in your hands. The protocol is going to be a 10-second lowering in the chin-up from the top of the bar all the way to full extension at the top. After 10 seconds, you're going to climb back up on a step. You're going to hop to the top of the bar, and you're going to go down for 10 seconds again. When you cannot maintain that 10-second lowering, you're going to then move to neutral grip lat pull downs. You're going to do 10 reps on a 4-0 XO tempo. So what that means is you're lowering the weight in 4 seconds, holding for 0 seconds at the top, and then pulling fast down to your chest. The eccentric reps to failure plus the 10 reps of lat pull downs is considered one set. When you can do 6 reps in a single set without having to take a break or without going faster than 10 seconds, then you're ready to move on to phase 2. Additionally, in phase 1, you're still going to be doing your compound movements like rows, single arm dumbbell rows, and your isolated movements for your rhomboids, for your traps, for your biceps, and all the different variations that are implied there. At the same time, you're gonna be training your core to start to integrate from top to bottom. We're gonna be doing things like hollow bodies, hollow body press variations, and different short lever pike variations to start to get your body to integrate your arms, your core, and your head. Now we're ready for phase 2. So phase 2 is going to be our isometric phase. And isometric just means isometer, same distance, meaning I'm not moving. What I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to climb myself back up to the top of the bar. I'm going to come down a quarter of the way, and I'm going to hold there for 10 seconds. Then halfway, 10 seconds. Then 3/4 of the way, 10 seconds, and then go all the way down and climb back up to the top. Isometric contractions are amazing for a ton of stuff. There's a lot of literature and research out there about the benefits of using isometric training. I personally love them to increase strength because what's happening is though, even though I'm not moving, my body is experiencing a lot of intramuscular tension, meaning my nervous system is saying, go, 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 but I'm not actually moving from a visual perspective. This creates a lot of connection in my muscle to my core, my lats, my arms, and will create a lot of beneficial strength adaptations moving forward in your chin-up progressions. Your goal is to hit failure for these isometric pauses, meaning if I can't hold a quarter of the way for 10 seconds or halfway or 3/4 of the way for 10 seconds, then I'm gonna move on to my lat pull down, but now I'm gonna be doing somewhere between 6 to 8 reps on that same 4-0-x-0 tempo. Now, this isometric phase is definitely the most difficult part of this progression. And you could be here for 2, 3, 4, maybe even 6 weeks sometimes, depending on your starting point, depending on your body weight and your experience and your levers and all sorts of different factors. Don't get frustrated because once you do develop this isometric strength and you move on to the next phase, you'll be shocked at how well your pull-ups actually go. So your goal is going to be 12 isometric pull-ups, meaning pausing at quarter, halfway, 3/4 for 10 seconds each inside of an entire workout. You want those 12 to be spread across your sets. So don't gas yourself out in the first set doing 6 reps and then you only get 1 and 1 and 1 on the rest of your sets. Try to divide it up equally. That way you can have your highest chin-up performance throughout the duration of the workout. At the same time, in this phase, you're going to be continuing your compound rowing movements, your lat pull downs, your rhomboid, your trap movements. All the accessory movements are going to increase your pull-up strength as well as some biceps and forearms because why not? But at the same time, you're going to be increasing the difficulty of your core isolation movements, meaning I'm doing longer lever pikes. I'm doing more difficult press outs. I'm doing more different stability ball and abdominal work to help my arms and core integrate with one another. We are finally at phase 3. So at this point, after working through the eccentric and isometric phases, you should be able to do at least 1 body weight chin-up. Now we're going to use something called cluster sets. So cluster sets are a way to use a higher load, but with little rest periods in between to get you to be able to do more repetitions at that load. So if I can only do 2 chin-ups, then I'm not going to be able to crank out that many sets of 2, which means I'm not going to be able to get that many chin-ups in a workout. But if I can sequence it and do 1 chin-up and then take a break and then another, take a break and then another, take a break, I'm going to be able to do a lot more chin-ups in that workout, building my endurance, building my strength, and getting a lot more exposure to that movement. So during the cluster sets, the way I want you to do it is 1-1-1 max. You're gonna do 1 pull-up, perfect form, absolutely nailing it, pulling up fast, slowly coming down, and then you're gonna rest for anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds. Then you're gonna do it again, 1 and 1, rest 15 to 20 seconds. Then you're gonna do it again, if you can. Rest 15 to 20 seconds. After you've done 3 individual pull-ups, you're gonna then do a max set. Now this may be half a pull-up. That's totally fine. If you can get 1, 2, even 3 repetitions in a row, then that total set, you've gotten 6 pull-ups, which you could not have done consecutively. You're gonna then follow that up immediately with a set of 6 on lat pull downs, pulling down fast, and then up for 4 seconds. Every single week, you're gonna add 1 pull-up to your cluster. So instead of doing 3 singles, you're gonna do 4 singles on week 2. Then you're gonna do 5 singles on week 3. Then you're gonna do 6 singles on week 4, plus a max set at the end of all of those. By the end of that 4 weeks of phase 3, you should be able to do a solid 4, 6, even 10 pull-ups in a row. You'll be doing this on both of your upper body days, which means you're getting a lot of pull-ups inside of your week of training. Now, you're also going to be adding different types of abdominal exercises that help you integrate more with your arms and your core. This is going to be things like overhead ball slams to create a little bit more power and explosiveness. It's going to be things like plank walkouts and ab wheel rollouts, and even weighted and long lever hollow body holds to help you create even more core, arm, and hip connection. At this point, you have your progressions. You know how to get from 0 or 1 pull-ups to 2, 4, 6, 10 pull-ups now, right? But what should your workouts look like? Well, I got you covered. I'm gonna go ahead and throw up some screenshots of what a good upper body sequencing will look like for each of these phases. Feel free to screenshot it, share it with your friends, but make sure you tell them about this video. And if you have any questions about these training approaches or modalities or why we do this or that, feel free to drop a comment. I would love to talk more about it. Or if you have any specific strength and conditioning questions to throw in there, please let me know. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It really helps the channel out. So if you made it to this point, I want to say a big thank you for checking us out. To your athletic life, guys. See y'all next week.